The Steelers win with 6 field goals. The Packers eat a blocked field goal to top the Bears. The Bills and the Chiefs battle again. Javonte Williams is back, and so is Anthony Richardson. Let's talk about the biggest takeaways of the Week 11 action. Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Football Podcast, sponsored by Circa Las Vegas Resort and Casino. I'm Jim Coventry, and you can catch me over at Jim Coventry NFL. All right, instant reaction number one. We have got it. The Steelers win with 6 field goals and no touchdowns. What a crazy game this was. First of all, let's start with the Steelers side. I guess let's preface it before. Divisional games. We saw this game. We saw one with the 49ers and the Seahawks. You never know what you're going to get in these divisional matchups. Now, the Steelers, they had really been cobbling together a real nice run game. Russell Wilson throwing some moon balls, the deep shots. He throws some flat passes to the sides. He throws some slants occasionally, and he throws the deep passes. He has 55% or fewer completions in 2 of those 3 games coming into this one. So we were going to wonder what we're going to see here because we knew Baltimore was very easy to attack deep. Well, one big play. 37-yard pass to George Pickens down the sideline. It was a little catch and run there, so it wasn't like anything deep was hitting. But the Ravens, look, they come out, they're going to play physical. Both teams are going to play physical here. Russell Wilson gets 205 yards, no touchdowns, and an interception. Talk about the interception later. It was brutal. Anyway, George Pickens, the only receiver that really does anything, 8 for 89 on 12 targets. Other than that, Darnell Washington was the second receiver, 2 for 42. They use him in the flats, and he gets runs after the catch, but interesting player there. Najee Harris and Jalen Warren, they do enough on the ground. The Steelers' goal in this game seemed very apparent. Move the chains as best we can, run the clock, keep it lower scoring. That's what you want. You wanted to keep that Ravens offense off the field a lot. And so it was balanced. 36 passes, 34 rush attempts. But Harris and Jalen Warren, and Warren played her back injury, together they go 27 carries for 104. And again, nothing crazy, but they kept moving the chains. They did enough in the passing game. And then when they got in the red zone, there were 2 bombs for field goals by Boswell, 57, I think a 50 or a 51. But that said, they would get the ball down in the red zone a number of occasions, and the Ravens would just stifle them because they really didn't have much left. And I will talk about that interception. That interception was in the later fourth quarter. It was at the point where the game was in the balance, and I believe it's a 3rd down play. And they're in field goal range. This field goal they did let one later. This would have put them up 18-10. And hey, Charlene, good to see you in the house. So when Russell Wilson rolls out, all he has to do once this play is dead is just throw it away. They kick the field goal, they go up 18-10, call it a day. Nope. Russell Wilson kind of shows us what he is. He freaks out. He just throws his lollipop up, and the Ravens intercept it. Great. So now it looks like the Ravens have a chance. Well, it ends up going back and forth. The Steelers do get the ball back. They kick another field goal. They do go up 18-10, and then the Ravens get it. And so now we talked about the Steelers. Let's kick over to the Ravens. We'll start with the end and work our way backwards. And so the Ravens hadn't done anything much in this game. Very, very low. Justin Tucker missed a couple field goals. That was huge. 2 makeable field goals. Very makeable. He has not been anything close to the kicker we remember. So in that drive, Lamar Jackson does get them down the field. Finally, they get a touchdown to Zay Flowers, and there's about a minute and change left. They got a couple timeouts in the pocket. And they do score. They need to get 2. And they roll Lamar out to the left. And the Steelers just like student body right, which is the same way he's going. And they just ran. And Lamar just had nothing. It was a poorly designed play. It was a play that gave him no options. By sprinting him out, yeah, he's Lamar Jackson. But you really just condense the field. And Pittsburgh is way too aggressive and way too physical on defense for there to be a good chance. It was a very bad 2-point play call. Would have sent it to overtime. So Pittsburgh does drain the clock. They end it. Now, look, Lamar Jackson, yeah, Pickens had a good game, though. We said earlier, 8 for 89 on 12, and you got to take that. 16-9 in a PPR. That's a solid day. That's a solid game. Lamar Jackson completed less than half of his passes. And Derrick Henry had a 31-yard run, which is always the case, but otherwise 13 for 65 and a touchdown. The Steelers really limited him. Lamar had a 25-run yard run later. It got him to 46 yards. Really nothing. Isaiah Likely, the only pass catcher over 39 yards, 4 for 70 up. He had a 42-yard catch in this thing. So it wasn't like he was dominant all day. It was one big catch, and there wasn't anything. Mark Andrews, 2 for 22. Flowers with the touchdown. He had one other catch. He ends up 2 for 39 and a touchdown. Now, fortunately, gets a touchdown, gets done for fantasy. But look, it was that divisional battle. And Derrick Henry, felt bad for him. He lost a fumble. Nobody's going to say anything to him. It's like 588 touches. The man didn't lose a fumble. So, yeah, you don't say anything to Derrick Henry because he's not a fumbler. It was just one of those plays that happens. It was early in the game. Justin Tucker, again, missing those 2 field goals. That was probably the bigger issue. But so here's the thing. First of all, the Ravens are 7-4. This isn't good because the Bills beat the Chiefs today. We'll talk about that later. And now the Ravens probably aren't going to play any home games. They're 2 games behind the Steelers. Can they catch them? Maybe. They might. Now there's 1 loss to them. Doesn't help. And if the Ravens now are the best team in the league, and they might be the best team in the league. But if they are, and they got to play road games in the playoffs, this isn't Patrick Mahomes. Go out the road and take care of business, right? So what do you do? But I mean, honestly, divisional matchup. And again, Pittsburgh's a great team. The Ravens are a great team. But a divisional matchup, it doesn't matter because, Cleveland could beat these teams in a divisional game. We've seen it. So it's a bad loss for the Ravens. Steelers, wow, 8-2. I mean, Mike Tomlin does it again. Great coach. But I'm not worried about the Ravens long term. And I imagine that they'll come into the next matchup better prepared for Pittsburgh. But this was the interesting thing. I thought that Baltimore offense, remember, they started out slow the first 2 weeks. They weren't using Patrick Ricard and to clear out space. And I really thought that now they were like nearly unstoppable. Well, they were very stoppable. And Alex Highsmith was out for Pittsburgh. That was a problem. So, so that said, very, very interesting game. It's a divisional matchup. So again, how much do you really take away from it? And no knock to either team. It's just divisional football. You see it all the time. These games are going to be wars. It's the way it is. Charlene quickly mentions the Lions. Oh my gosh. So I'll quickly say this. Jared Goff, when they blow teams out, he throws like 22 passes. He threw a ton. He threw a bunch of passes. A lot more, 400 yards. For whatever they did, here's what I think happened. I think that after the 5 interceptions last week, I think Dan Campbell said, we got to fix his confidence because there had to be a confidence hit with 5 picks. And they won the game, but it still had hurt. So I think Dan Campbell broke his mold, which would have been run all second half. Don't run it up like that. I think he did it to build Goff's confidence back up, and he did. And he did. Everybody went off. J-Mo went off. St. Brown went off. Laporta didn't play. Obviously, the 2 running backs went off. So if you played your Lions, you were super excited. Trade, I don't know. I don't know if I can talk trades right now. Maybe at the end of the show, we'll see if I can do anything with that. You can hit me up on the X at Jim Coventry NFL. I'm always glad to answer those for you. All right, let's go to instant reaction number 2. The Packers need a blocked field goal to top the Bears. The Bears? So let's start with the Bears. I know they lost. Thomas Brown takes over as the offensive coordinator for the fired Shane Waldron. So that said, what happens? Well, Thomas Brown goes into this game. Smart dude, I think. Packers don't stop the run real well. What does he do? Runs the ball 34 times. They pass 31. Make it easier on Caleb Williams, right? Been saying that all season. You run the ball with success. Well, teams aren't pinning their ears back and going after the passer. So guess what? Caleb Williams only takes 3 sacks. That's not bad if you took 9 in the last game, right? DeAndre Swift, 14 for 71 and a touchdown. Roshan, bad yards per carry. He had a couple goal line carries, 10 for 33 and a touchdown. So between the 2 of them, Caleb Williams ran big in the first half. I think he had 60 of his 70 yards rushing in the first half alone. But Bears played a good game. They got a couple receivers involved. DJ Moore was heavily involved in the first half, 7 for 62, caught every target. A lot of smoke screens and things. They really weren't getting downfield. Romo Dunze gets 10 targets, 6 for 65. So Moore is a slightly better fantasy day, not by much. But that said, Caleb Williams was put in position to game manage. And you know what? At this stage, it's probably what it needs to be. And the Bears are winning. The Bears, I shouldn't say they were winning. They had a lead, and then they could have won late. They drove the ball down field goal range, and it wasn't a long field goal. Packers blocked it. So tough, bad beat for the Bears. They're 4-6. But you know what? Like I said in the beginning of the season, I like the Bears. I think next year they could be dangerous. I thought this year would be a bit of a problem. And we're kind of seeing that now. Packers side, look, it wasn't a good game for them. Now they're coming out of a bye. I really thought Matt LaFleur would have a good game plan here, and he got Jaden Reed going early, and then nothing. Reed gets 2 targets the whole game, 2 for 23 and a touchdown. That's it. That's it. Don't get it. Dontavian Wicks, 1 target, no catches. Christian Watson, 2 big plays. They must have figured out something that they saw in the Bears defense that they liked, but they made 2 big plays, 4 for $150. We haven't seen that much. 60 yards is the longest one. We haven't seen much of that from them this year. I don't know how sustainable it is, but they definitely saw something on film they could use. Romeo Doubs, I was worried. I told people to bench him this week. He would see a lot of Jalen Johnson, some Tyreek Stevenson. That was a bad matchup. Dobbs was 1 for 17 at 2 targets, so there's that. I did think Josh Jacobs would have a good game, and he did. It wasn't massive, but 18 for 76 at a touchdown, but he also caught 4 passes. So with the 58 receiving yards, over 130 scrimmage yards. So nice play. Jordan Love, look, if you started for fantasy, yeah, it was rough. He ran in a touchdown, so it helped. So that there was that, but it wasn't a great game. Now the Bears are a great pass defense, so you certainly give them their due there. But for the Packers, it's a big win. 7-3. It's a game on the road, divisional matchup. Again, we talk about these ugly divisional matchups, right? And so, yeah, it wasn't a great one, but look, they won a game they probably shouldn't have won. And you know what? You build on that, and that win's important. The NFC's got a lot of high record teams, so they need this win to compete. Before I move to the next one, Charlene is about Mike Williams. Nothing I saw. I don't think he did anything in the game. Maybe he didn't even play that much. Again, I got 7 games on at that time, but he didn't really do it. And if he caught a pass, that was about it, but there was nothing big. There were no big plays. Second leading receiver was Darnell Washington, with 45 yards. So there's that. All right, the end of the season is getting closer. Catch the big game poolside at Stadium Swim at Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas. 6 temperature control pools, a massive 143-foot screen, and booming game sound. Plus, view the pyrotechnics and visual effects throughout the game. You can grab the best seat in the sun with day beds, poolside boxes, cabanas, and more. Stadium Swim's big game viewing party is February 9th only at Circa Resort and Casino. Space going fast. You reserve your spot at circalasvegas.com. All right, reaction number 3. The Bills and the Chiefs battle again, and the Bills pull it off with the win. Great game. Just absolutely great game. It was what you expect from these teams, right? It was 30-21, a late touchdown, put this game away all the way. Josh Allen ran one and runs for 55 yards and a touchdown. Hey, Jamie, good to see you in the house. And so I don't know if I did this on the air. I can't remember where, but I published it somewhere. But Josh Allen had run like 12 to 14 times the last time they played the Chiefs. And with these late season games and their win, that's what happens. Josh Allen plays Superman at some point. And 12 carries, 55 and a touchdown. He hasn't put a big rushing yards this year, but this was a game. When they need him, he shows up. And so a beautiful thing. Through the air, look, 262 and a touchdown. He did throw, a dumb pick, but hey, it was a good game. He played well. James Cook, very, very weird stat line. 9 carries, 20 yards, 2 touchdowns. So he got that. 5 catches, 7 yards. I told people I was worried about Cook. I had him listed high in the rankings, but I said there was downside. But when he scored 2 touchdowns, it doesn't matter, right? So, if you're telling me at the end of the day, James Cook had 14 touches for 27 yards, you're like, ugh. But again, with the 2, now all of a sudden that's 14.7 PPR points with 2 touchdowns. Ooh, but you take it. You're happy about it. Oh, PPR is a little bit more. Caught 5 passes, so that's 17. But you take it. Doesn't matter how you get there. It's fantasy football, right? Jamie's thinking we'll see a Bills-Chiefs rematch for the playoffs. We certainly might. It's funny, the history of these games. And maybe I'm wrong. It may be my memory, but it seemed like the Bills win the regular season and then Chiefs play them in the playoffs and choke them out, or miss a field goal. Tyler Bass. Oh my gosh. But the funny thing was we thought Khalil Shakir would do well here, and he did. 8 for 70 on 12 targets. We knew the Chiefs were very poor in the slot covering that, and they definitely took advantage of it. Very smartly played. So that was a good thing. But Curtis Samuel. Now, last week Cooper was out. This week Keon Coleman was out. Samuel's had 2 decent weeks in a row. 58 yards on touchdown in this game. He was a big play in this. So I think when receivers are missing, he could see enough snaps to be a factor. Amari Cooper only gets 3 targets, 2 for 55. I can't remember as I was watching if there was a one called back. I can't remember if he stepped out of bounds, but there may have been another catch. But hey, as it goes, on only 3 targets, he had a cast on his hand. At least he got you something for fantasy. Dawson Knox was a player I really wasn't on in this game. He doesn't really play the Kincaid role, but he got 6 targets and 4 for 40. If you started him, you weren't disappointed with that. It wasn't any upside game, but realistically, the touchdowns got Cook score, but nobody goes off here. Other side of the ball is kind of the same thing. It was a very valiant performance by the Bills. Patrick Mahomes does throw 3 touchdowns, but he throws 2 picks. 196 yards. Nuke Hopkins, 3 for 29. Sorry for those I told to start him. Figured he'd be fine. Apparently, that's not the case. Xavier Worthy leads the team with 5 targets, 4 for 61 and a touchdown. So there's that. And he ran for 7 yards. So Worthy had one of those games. And you could tell the Bills came in. I don't think they were really concerned with Worthy because Worthy hasn't been a consistent guy to beat them, but they were concerned with Hopkins, put the pressure on him a little bit. So, Scott, I gave you a Jerry Jeudy recommendation. Yeah, you scored a little bit on that. Very nice, very nice. Justin Watson, Noah Gray gets the 2 touchdowns. That was interesting, man. Noah Gray, just when you're looking for the Travis Kelce. What does Kelce do? 2 for 8. 2 for 8. Sean McDermott's a great defensive coach. Now, look, if they play in the playoffs, you know that whatever it is, I can't explain it. Andy Reid's have a completely different game plan. And you know that, Kelce's going to get his 8 for 90, and he's going to probably get a touchdown. But you enjoy this game if you're a Bills fan. Enjoy this game. It's a big win. They're 9-2. They're 9-2. They're 1 game behind the Chiefs. And look, the Chiefs right now, they're winning. Not today, but they're a flawed team. And so, look, the Bills got the tiebreaker. So the Bills do have a chance to get the home field advantage. Not that it mattered last time, but hey, home field advantage. So they got a shot at this thing. The Chiefs got to double down and buckle down. We'll see how that goes. So, solid there. But Kareem Hunt, and here's the problem. 14 carries, 60 yards. So he gets you about 4 yards per carry. But again, he did have a 17-yard run. He doesn't usually get those long runs. So other than that, though, that was the problem. So now you're looking 13 for 43. And they need him to be a chain mover. That's the whole purpose of how they're using him. Chain mover. 4 or 5 yards over and over and over. And that wasn't happening. And each passing week, he's less and less explosive. So that's a bit of a problem. Well, Pacheco's coming back next week. Now, though he's not going to be, in my opinion, he won't be fully ramped up next week. So I think it'll be like 50, my guess, 50% next week it'll work, maybe 55, go up to 70 or so. And so there's that, right? So, so anyway, Kareem Hunt will be phased out quickly. They got great use out of him. This team will be different with Pacheco. With Pacheco, they don't get many explosive plays in the passing game. Pacheco gives them explosive plays in the run game, and that really will help the offense. So I think they've missed him. They've been winning, obviously 9-1. How much did you miss him? But yeah, this can be really important to get him back. And think about this: if the injury is completely healed, he technically has fresh legs, and that could mean a lot for a playoff run. So that could be huge. So anyway, on that game, kudos to the Bills. Great game. They've done well against the Chiefs in the past. Games are normally down to the wire. This one was down to the wire as well, but they did put them away, and that was a great thing to see. A couple of quick comments here. Let's see. Taysom Hill. Yeah, Taysom Hill, look, they don't have, like, Jamal Williams is out. Kendre Miller's on the IR, so he gets extra carries. And they have no receivers, so he gets extra targets. He's been a start the last couple of weeks because he's going to get you 4 targets. He's going to get you 4 or 5 carries. Well, he got more this week. And obviously, that late 70-yard touchdown, it was nuts. But if you have a tight end position and you don't have one of the 3 or 4 elite ones, you got to play Taysom Hill. He could do nothing for you 1 week. But very few players could reach his upside. There are very few tight ends. Even the elite ones, very few could reach that upside. So it's almost like take your chances. But if he's on your roster, don't sit him. You just don't sit him. If you got George Kittle and he's healthy, then play Kittle. I get it. If you got Kelce, play Kelce. Bowers. Outside of those, I think you got to play him. And then let's see here. All right, JSN had I think he had 100 yards, like 10 for 100 or something like that. It was solid game. They're really opening him up. That he plays like 86% slot, leads the league with that. I think that's very, very interesting. All right, I'm going to go over more of this week's reactions after we take a short break. All right, instant reaction number 4. Javonte Williams is back as the Broncos coast over the Falcons. All right, so look, this was tough for some people because people broke the bank on Audric Estime. I get it. He played the whole role. I mean, I think Javonte had like a couple touches last week. He 29% of the snaps. Estime went like 14 for 53. It wasn't a good fantasy day. 5.3 points. He did nothing, nothing useful, but he was on the waiver wire, so it wasn't anybody's team. And I think people had all these great expectations. And I said, you know what? I don't understand Sean Payton. Javonte Williams has been really, really good this year. Not been a superstar, but he's been good. And if they've ever gotten explosive plays in the running game, it's him who's doing that. And as a receiver. And I could not understand why Sean Payton relegated this really good running back. And, Esteme's okay. He's a power back. And now it's possible within the game script last week, they thought a power running game would give them a better chance. It's possible. Maybe that's the way to do it. They're playing the Chiefs. Maybe their goal is to grind them down. Maybe they didn't think Javonte could get it done there. I hope I get the matchup right on that. But anyway, whatever game they had, I think maybe they want to go to power back. But I thought all week, and I'm thinking to myself, everybody's going to start Estime. And I get it. I didn't recommend starting him. I go, what if he does what he does last week? 14 for 53. Are you happy with 80% of your fab, and all of a sudden you get 5 points? Doesn't move unless you have nobody at running back, then you take it. I thought to myself, to my two important leagues, I had Javonte Williams. And this isn't me being bitter. I played Williams. I didn't think twice about it. I go, you know what? There ain't no way Sean Payton could keep Javonte Williams on the bench. And Williams does extremely well. Looks like a normal self. Not only 9 carries for 59 and a touchdown, and then he ends up through the air 4 for 28, which is fine. So overall, what is that? 80-something yards, 87 yards and a touchdown. Yeah, you'll take that, and you'll take the 4 catches. So yeah, solid day. Audric Estime, people look at the stat line and they'll say, okay, 6 carries, 16 yards, and then 3 catches for 9 yards. So he had almost as many touches as Williams. Misnomer. If you watch the game, most of the work for Estime came in garbage time. This game was a blowout. This game was 28-6 in the third quarter. So Estime got most of his work when the game was out of hand. Jaleel McLaughlin gets 4 late carries in this one. So basically, Williams was taken out when the game was out of hand. So there's that one. So, Charlene says in her money, no one grabbed. They were smart. Well, again, if you're desperate for a running back, like I said, I get it. All running backs that have a potential role have value. So that's it. But I knew I didn't have much fab in my leagues, but there's no way I was putting a bid in on him. If I had money, maybe I'd been different. But anyway, Cortland Sutton does as usual. But here's the thing. Atlanta was terrible. They didn't stop the run. They didn't stop the pass. They just looked like they were out of their league in this game. Denver played well coached by Sean Payton. And Bo Nix is the point guard here. Just a great point guard. Nix throws 28 out of 33, 307 yards, 4 touchdowns. It's just literally point guard stuff. Some of the catches were contested. Some of them were wide open. Troy Franklin gets a touchdown. Nate Adkins gets a touchdown. Marvin Mims gets a touchdown. Little Jordan Humphrey. I know we all had all 4 of them in fantasy, right? Of course, Sutton doesn't score. Vele doesn't score. They lead the team in receiving yardage. But that was the thing. It was a great point guard performance. Sutton, you start Sutton. You start Sutton almost every week. I said I recommend them this week. 7 for 78. If you're mad at me for that, you shouldn't be. 14.8 PPR is a very good game. Probably right about where I projected him anyway. So, very solid game there. Atlanta, look, we worried about Atlanta. Atlanta, going in, I said this. I said, Kirk Cousins is not good under pressure. And Denver is one of the better pressure teams in the league. And that was going to be a problem. And they're very good against the run. And Bijan Robinson got kind of scripted out a little bit too. 12 for 35. So not much going there, but he didn't get it going. Nothing got going at all. Michael Penix finishes this game. Drake London, I did recommend him as a start this week. 3 for 61. A couple plays were called back by penalty. He should have had like 80 or 90 yards. He should have been okay. 3 for 61 is not the end of the world. He was in the slot a lot, which I kind of call that. He normally plays about 30% slot, and they move him in the slot quite a bit. So it was fine. He did well enough. Kyle Pitts, 1 for 9. Again, nothing worked. I think I had a sneaky start on Ray McLeod, and I said with all the pressure, the guy that gets over the middle of the field will probably see more. And yeah, he got 6 targets, caught them all for 46. Mooney went with a hamstring, 2 for 27. So a little worried about him. Kadero Hodge could be a free agent replacement. Not that he'll put up Mooney numbers. He won't. But if you need a body, that could be. But it was kind of a disaster for the Falcons. But look, the Broncos, they may not be the Bills. They may not be the Chiefs. They may not be the Ravens. But if they were in the NFC, they'd be a team that have a better chance of making more noise I just don't know if they play Pittsburgh. I don't even know how in the postseason. I don't know how that goes. So yeah, it's a tough one. But yeah, this was just a one of those styles make fights. The Broncos are an excellent football team. The Falcons are a good NFC team. And that's kind of how we think. The Falcons are going to probably be in the playoffs, most likely. We'll see what the Bucks do. Maybe the Bucks, when they get Mike Evans back, they can win that division. But the Falcons had a pretty nice run of schedule, and I'm heavily invested in them, very heavily invested. But this one I saw was a pitfall, so hopefully you listened and you bench those players, and that would have worked there. All right, instant reaction number 5. Anthony Richardson leads the Colts to a win over the Jets. This game was a nail biter. It was a fantastic football game. In terms of competitiveness, in terms of actual quality of play, maybe not so much. But hey, every game is different, has a life of its own. So in this game, look, the Jets got their first down of the game with 1 minute, 31 seconds left in the first half. And somehow they scored 27 points. Now, this game, when I had the mixed screen on YouTube and I had the red zone and then I had the Bears game, local game for me on the phone, I was out of screens. So I didn't see much of this game. But I saw some red zone clips and highlights. So we'll kind of go with that. I did see Breece Hall do well enough. Now, Breece Hall, 23 touches, 16 on the ground, 7 through the air, 121 scrimmage yards. He scored twice. So the first fantasy game in a month. And look, you were starting him because he's at least a running back too, but I don't think he had double-digit PPR points in his last 3 games. And so you were very nervous, but at least he got it done. Now, in terms of sustainability, I don't know. They were lost offense. Aaron Rodgers does throw 2 touchdown passes, only 184 yards. Davante Adams goes 6 for 72, so you start him, you're okay. Garrett Wilson, nothing, 4 for 18. So this offense is wrecked. You hope that you take your chance of starting Hall, Garrett Wilson, and Adams, and you're just hopeful that they do enough to get you some points, and that's about it. But Indianapolis. So Anthony Richardson, look, the Jets defense has not played the same since Robert Saleh got let go. That team played with fire and heart for him, and he was a great coach. And they were very hurt by his getting let go. And you could see by their play on the field. And Sauce Gardner not playing at an elite level this year. Cornerback plays like that. And I watch film year over year, and you just see not every great corner has a great year every year. It's very interesting how they kind of ebb and flow. And no explanation for it. I really don't have one. But Richardson, who had been completing less than half of his passes, complete 66% here. The passes, you look, Josh Downs, 5 targets. Pittman gets 8. So they control the targets too. Pittman's a little more shorter and underneath. It was less deep shots. Alec Pierce did get a deep one late in the game to help set up the win. That was huge, 39-yard catch. And Josh Downs got down the seam for a good 30-yard gain as well. But outside of that, it was a safer approach. Now, the Jets came in, their bad run defense, but you could tell they were loading up for Jonathan Taylor. They were worried about him winning, and they contained him. 24 carries, 57 yards. So Taylor for fantasy, and he only had 1 catch for 3. So in a PPR, he only got you 7. But again, could be worse. You hope it was better. But the Jets had a good game plan. But Anthony Richardson made him play. He scored twice on the ground, once through the air, and 272. Only took 2 sacks. But again, they kept it manageable. They coached it smart. Now going forward, I can't tell you what to expect. I don't think we're getting 3 touchdowns every week from Richardson, but it's a start. It's a start. I haven't looked at next week's opponents yet, but I'll cautiously decide how we're going to look at Richardson for that. If it's an easier matchup, maybe we go his way. But I'd like to see one more game out of him. I'd like to see him now that he had a little more success. Does he build on it? But Josh Downs, again, we said in the start-sit stream, play him this week. The last game with Richardson, he had 100 yards, 84 yards and a touchdown here. Josh Downs is an amazing player. He rules the slot. The offense does often utilize the slot. So Josh Downs, just money. He'll have a bad game here and there. It's going to happen, but definitely trust that. All right, before we get out, Charlene's asking what we think about Dobbins today. Dobbins, it's interesting with Dobbins. Everybody believes that the Bengals have a trash defense. They've actually been good against the run. Derrick Henry in the first meeting had a big overtime run. In regulation of the 2 games, Henry was contained. They're a very good run defense. And Dobbins has not been efficient. Get some volume. If he doesn't get a touchdown, it could be a little tough sledding here. Now you could pass all over the Bengals and Justin Herbert. I think they're going to realize that's their ticket to win this game. And can Dobbins break a run? Yes. Can Dobbins score a touchdown? Yes. But overall, I'm not optimistic. I think all things equal, I would probably call for about 14 carries for 47 yards, maybe 2 catches for 10. That's about what I'd look at. And if you get a touchdown, you get a bonus. If he breaks a long run, you get a bonus. But I don't particularly see that happening. The Bengals have been a good run defense. Everybody, RotoWire covers all the fantasy sports. Did you know you get a free 2-day trial, no credit card needed? Check out everything we've got. Go to rotowire.com/pod. If you like it, join the team. If not, we're just glad you took a look, came by. We want to thank our sponsor, Circa Resort and Casino in downtown Las Vegas. Whether it's Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, Stadium Swim is America's favorite place to watch football. And thanks to everyone for listening. Come back next week for another edition of the RotoWire Fantasy Football Podcast.